So yeah, let's as we come back here, we come across a scene in the back courtyard where your group of warriors, the Legion, have begun to split itself into two parties, and it's not your full gang. Again, there's maybe 10, 12 folks back here. As the rest of them are still needed to guard the castle. You can't have everybody back here messing around. But it is probably those that, yep, we are indeed. Thank you, Lark. Um, they have selected their leaders. So on one side, there's Ace, which makes sense due to his wish to be at the front of the line. On the other side is Monk. And Monk might surprise you. He's one of the more quiet of the individuals. You always recognize him. He's got cauliflower ear, I kind of, for lack of a better term. One of his ears just extremely swollen and kind of bubbled
Oh,
on one side. Um,
I'm very familiar with that. I used to do jujitsu.
mm-hmm. He has a very long winterized coat that he wears, but he's always been a strategist that you know of. When they're out on their raids, he would be the one that kind of looks over the building and figures out the best way in and out and who goes where. And that's kind of why they call him Monk, because he has this very calm nature about him, which is strange because everybody else is just a bunch of fucking hyenas, as you know. But they both stand there, and the legate kind of stands at your side. You've placed the flags on either side, and they all stand at attention, kind of waiting for your order for them to go capture the other flag and return to home base.
Mm. I at first the Emperor just kind of just looks at them with almost a bit of like theatrical confusion in his face, and he kind of lets out this cry of, "Come on! If this was a real war, do you think you would wait until I would say something?"
With that, Ace like slaps two of his six to go and start charging in. Monk nods at three of his, and they take this defensive position, standing with their back leg braced and watching as they come along. I'm gonna go ahead. I think that this will be. It's not quite the leadership role, but I think it kind of falls on that. So this can give us an idea of what happens here if it clean success, messy success, or pure chaos.
Okay. All right.
I know what I'm betting on.
Whew.
So you see two sides of an interesting battle. On Ace's side, it's pure aggression, whereas Monk's side, it's strategy, patience, and then to strike like a cobra. You see that as they are working to block, basically stop those that are attacking from Ace's side, one of Monk's members sneaks out from the back, allowing the chaos to pull the attention of everyone. And he begins to go on the very outskirt of the courtyard very quietly and not moving to attract direction before he gets pretty close, only having Ace there to get past him. Ace, a well-trained fighter, sees him approaching and immediately begins to run and charge. And that is when Monk appears almost out of nowhere, having been following this scout, and with a single hit in his chest knocks the wind out of Ace and he falls down. The monk walks over, grabs the flag, in which all of Ace's attackers kind of hear the gasp of Ace and turn and begin to charge. And they just take out the legs. The defenders just take out the legs, and they all fall and face plant. And Monk and his companion walk over very casually and just place the flag on home base. He whistles and all of his group kind of stops, a few of them getting an extra punch in just because they can. But they stop, stand up, kind of look towards you. Ace kind of rises as well and claps his hands, and all of his men do the same. You can tell Ace kind of looks defeated, but still holds his attention and looks up towards you.
Mm-hmm. Now the Emperor starts clapping with almost kind of a very happy look in his eyes. A happiness that isn't very often seen in the Emperor, which, generally remains very contemplative. He approaches the group and kind of just looks at everyone. And especially looks over to Ace. And then he kind of turns to the entire group and says, now, what are the lessons to be learned from today? From this specific exercise? Shout it out.
Yeah, I think Doghead speaks up again, being on Ace's side. Watch out for the fucking sneakers, the tricksters. And one of Monk's warriors kind of looks, prepare for the enemy to meet any assault and wait for your opening. Ace kind of stands up. Stay as one. If you allow yourself to get separated or you stand on your own, kind of holds his chest, you clearly fall.
Exactly. You're all right. Legate, for the rest of the day, make sure they all train in group exercises.
The legate crosses his chest. Of course, Emperor. All right. I want you six over there, you six over there. And he begins to guide them to kind of separate once more and approaches each group. I think as that's happening, Lark, that's when you make your way into the back courtyard. You see the Emperor give that order, and all of the men that are back here are just covered in mud. Some of them have bruises. Their eyes are closed, swelled shut, bloody noses, but they all seem happy about it.
Lark kind of finds the Emperor, kind of makes his way over to him, but he's keeping an eye on all these guys. He's definitely seeing what they're doing and everything. And as he gets within earshot, Lark just says, "Group exercises in preparation for combat, no doubt."
Never returns to Lark. Never hurts to be ready.
Indeed, it does not. Speaking of which, the convoy with the food, I assume everything is set and will be leaving in the near future.
Yes, normally Old Man Pete should be ready. How about yourself?
Good. I've made sure everything would be okay with my followers in my absence, and I have Abraham ensuring that our supplies is set just in case anything unfortunate happens and we're forced to rely on foot travel.
All right. The Emperor kind of approaches Lark and takes out kind of a, something to this extent on the camera. And basically ties, takes it out, wraps it around Lark's right shoulder, and ties a knot around it.
I wish I had a cloth too, and I could make it look like I pulled it from your camera. That would have been a fun trick. We should have planned that, but
we should have. That was like pure gravel.
So Lark kind of looks at that and just kind of looks back to the Emperor, in kind of a "what the hell is this" expression.
That is the mark that you're my eyes, my ears, my mouth on this trip. You're my direct representative.
So we're making this official, I see.
Of course we are. After all, first contact.
Certainly an important moment, no doubt. Speaking of first contacts, I met that blacksmith of yours.
Ah,
Talented. He takes out the knife he got from the ash towner and like holds it so you can kind of see that like some of the metal's been worn away, so that like the worked side is quite obvious. He does good work and knows it.
as I would assume, I hired him for a reason.
And you certainly found yourself a excellent fit for the role.
I like to choose my staff almost holistically.
And Lark kind of like turns and looks at all the men battered and bruised and just kind of, so do you think that your men are up for this challenge? They are fit and adequate combatants, no doubt, but there are still many unknown factors.
That I know, and that is what I'm working on. Right now, if they're but a gang, I tend to form them into an army.
I know that we briefly discussed you conscripting some of my followers.
Mm-hmm. If they wish to join the group exercises, they're welcome to do so.
Excellent. I will extend the offer before I depart. Perhaps it wouldn't be the worst thing to give them more things to do in my absence.
Yes.
Keeping them idle proved to be an unfortunate mistake on my part. So
Yes, and I would not wish to use them as cannon fodder anyways. The more men, the better. That's what I've learned over the years, at least.
He kind of Lark looking at the men. Like they're all like obviously like beat to hell, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Lark kind of says, I see that they've been doing some old-fashioned training as well.
It's always been my philosophy that the best way to learn is to practice it over and over again. When you fail, learn from your mistake. Don't repeat it.
And okay, Lark is about to do something very bold. Do you train them yourself, or the legate? Do you yourself train Invictus?
The Emperor kind of looks directly into Lark's eyes for a second.
Are you?
I train when I need to. Do you wish to test me on my fighting capability?
I'm simply curious. You lead these men, yet the only time I've really seen you take up arms against a man is when his back was turned and you were holding the superior weapon.
As I said, I lead them when I need to. The job of Emperor is not simply a military title. It is also a political one.
True, very true, but yet I have a curiosity that remains unitched.
This situation seems a little charged. Either one of you trying to read the other as you're having it?
I would. I don't know if you would.
I'm the one that's kind of playing a game right now, so I'll let him read it.
Okay.
Just a very quick thing before I move on.
Yeah.
That one arm I had from Dusk previously, is that gone?
Yeah, that's gone. Yeah.
Okay, I should have checked that first, to be honest.
Yep. Nope, you're good. You're all still healthy.
Somewhat healthy, at least. All right,
Um,
guess I'll.
does Lark want to trying to interfere with his words, or is he just kind of being a bit blunt with it?
Yeah, I think he's being blunt.
Okay.
In fact, he's being so blunt, I think I'll help.
Okay. Go ahead and roll plus hex.
All right, like this is gonna be one of. Oh, I have 3 too. This is gonna be one of those situations where Invictus, like, Lark wants Invictus to literally be thinking, "You see, I know you're playing me."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, go ahead and take a +2 to your sharp roll.
Which is already a 2, so I'm only at a +4 right now.
Oh yeah.
Um,
There we go. So you
probably
have
50.
3. So yeah, you with read a person, you don't have to ask all the questions at once as you continue the conversation. You can ask them when you feel like they are relevant.
Okay. Huh. So, the Emperor, kind of looking right into Lark's eyes.
Lark looking
Oh.
right back.
Yeah, kind of like almost trying to assert his dominance in this conversation. He's like, the Emperor asks Lark, "And what would you do in my place? What would you do if you were me? What do you wish I would do?"
What Lark wishes the Emperor would do in this moment is accept his challenge and actually fight Lark in front of his own men.
Okay.
Because what does he have to lose at this point? If he loses, then really that just like establishes what they already believe. I don't believe it's going to really harm all that much. If he wins, he he embarrasses the Emperor in front of his men and asserts his dominance.
The Emperor just kind of stands there for a second. Kind of you could almost just like cut the tension in the air with a knife right now. It's how.
Yeah, Lark's just looking at you like, you know what I want. Should I roll to manipulate?
No, don't. You don't need to because the Emperor's gonna punch you in the face.
All right. Yeah, I mean,
Okay, then.
honestly, do you feel like he's suckering you, or are you expecting this?
I don't think Lark was expecting like, all right, set, go.
Mm-hmm.
He was not ready for one go. That's literally what the Emperor just did to him right now.
Yeah, no, I think that this is definitely a sucker someone situation. So, unless you feel like for some reason the Emperor would be well trained to have more than a 1 harm, I don't think a punch is necessarily going to do more than 1 harm.
No. No, technically this is going aggro, so.
Well, so suckering someone is.
If he doesn't feel that you can miss, you basically auto hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then.
Which, like, Lark's not ready for it and he's leaning in.
Okay. So does that mean the 10 plus automatically up to 7 and 9?
No, it just means you apply harm as based off whatever weapon and armor he has.
Oh, okay.
So because you're just using your fist, again, if you feel like the Emperor would for some reason hit harder than the average person, then maybe we can discuss that. But I don't think that's the case unless you have a special move. No. So yeah, this is basically going to be a 1 harm. Now you do have your armor.
Yes, I have my divine protection.
So it's not necessarily going to be marked on your sheet, but you will still need to make the harm move. So as you stand there having this conversation, just whack, you get cracked across the jaw. So let's go ahead and just roll 2d6 plus 1, and you are trying to miss.
It's plus harm taken, right? And because of my armor, I don't take any.
Let's double check that real
I think that's
quick.
what happened when I was fighting the Ash Towner.
Correct. Yep. So you roll plus harm suffered after armor if you're wearing any. So it'd be plus 0. There
Yes.
you go. So you crack him pretty hard across the jaw, but how does Lark react with not really feeling much more than just a bit of a jolt to the head?
He kind of like brings his head back and like he's smiling as he turns his head back to the Emperor, and he's going to like bring up his arm, but instead of a fist, it's going to be an elbow.
Okay, I think we are entering into single combat. So
Oh yeah, there's special moves for this, aren't there?
there are indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you enter into single combat with someone, no quarters exchange harm, but first roll plus hard. So we're going 1 harm versus 1 harm.
Yeah. We're both wearing 1 armor, so
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna take a while.
I just get 1 armor
Yeah,
because my
and
god likes me.
I'm wearing my leather armor, so
Well,
All
that's
right.
that's why we do this, because you do have the ability to inflict more or take less. So yeah, let's roll plus hard there, Lark, as you go to crack him back.
All right, my plus 1.
wow.
All right,
Nice.
so on a 10 plus, you can either inflict terrible harm, so plus 1 harm, or suffer little harm, minus 1 harm. Actually, you do both. So you
Okay,
inflict
yep.
2 harm, and you basically take negative harm, like so little harm that it's just like he's not doing anything to you.
Yeah, and this is something that the Emperor probably noticed before. Lark likes throwing elbows as opposed to actual punches. And because it's a lot of force on a single point, it not only does it really have a high chance of causing cuts, it hurts.
Mm-hmm. So Emperor, after your 1 armor, go ahead and do the harm and healing move with just a plus 1. Unless
Okay.
does your armor go over?
I think leather's just like 1 armor, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Unless it's 2.
Nope,
Yeah.
should just be 1. That no worries. So
I'm fine.
you get you on that. I think for now, I'm not going to be mean. So, yeah, as he comes up and he cracks you with the elbow, like you jolt back. You do still take the 1 harm, but it doesn't knock you off your feet or anything. Like you feel it, and as this crack kind of hits, Lark, you notice back behind him, one of the groups has kind of noticed this quick back and forth between you two, and like they're in the process of doing some kind of like pyramid or something. I don't know, some kind of group activity. I mean, trust falls or something. And yeah, they've like started talking and kind of looking back towards you. So you've both kind of hit each other and realized that you're both strong individuals, armored in different ways, but yeah, who's I guess Emperor, what is your next move as you get hit back? You've now experienced hitting Lark and being hit by Lark, so you've had a moment to kind of read your opponent here. And how would that change the Emperor's mindset after having just given all of this speech to your legion about what you need to do, and how to defeat the enemy? What would you do?
So after like getting hit, like as the Emperor's back into kind of like a defensive stance almost, kind of like looking at Lark, and then he's gonna stop for a second. He's just gonna start laughing. He's just gonna start laughing his ass off.
Okay.
This is one of the things where like he starts laughing, then Lark starts laughing. There's probably people around us that are like, ha, ha, ha.
And as he starts laughing, he's gonna extend and kind of like with the eyes like looking right into Lark, kind of like giving the expression of like, I respect your ability.
Are you
Now
trying
you
to
respect mine
manipulate?
as well. I guess so. I guess I'm trying to manipulate him.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're like, okay. So on a 7 to 9, you get to choose one. Again, it's the carrot or the stick scenario. So if he goes along with you, takes your hand to shake it, he gets to mark experience. If he refuses, then then he has to erase one of his highlighted stats for the remainder of the session.
I think we need to give him the carrot. If they go along with you, they mark experience.
Okay. So you see the Emperor stop, laugh, and put his hand out.
And Lark kind of drops his arms a little bit and a little hesitant at first because he's thinking, is this going to be the thing where we shake hands and you like headbutt me? But he like kind of like keeping a bit of a distance just in case that is the case, like shakes the Emperor's hand and just kind of looks out towards the men that have obviously all seen him and just yells, perhaps upon my return, the Emperor and I can put on a bit of a show in the courtyard.
Perhaps. Perhaps. Now, go on. I believe you have some work to do.
Lark kind of like puts his hand over where he got hit, and he's just like, "That I do, that I do. Be seeing you soon, Emperor Invictus." And Lark kind of turns, and the last thing Lark really wants to do before he leaves is see if he can find Dusk. So that's what he's going to go off to do.
Okay. So yeah, as you begin to leave, before you're able to turn around, Emperor, you kind of hear the scramble of your men getting back into position. Like, we're watching. Trust fall. Don't worry, we won't let you fall. Here you go.
I just imagine because they're all dicks, they're totally letting each other fall.
Well, no, what's happening is it's no longer just like you stand on the ground and fall back. Like, they're building a pyramid for people to go up, 2 or 3 people up on their shoulders, and then falling from about 15 feet back. So,
cheerleader trust falls.
Yeah. There's definitely more brutal activities going on here.
Glad to know they're doing. And with trust falls.
I mean, you just told a
Go,
bunch of,
Invictus.
again, fucking hyenas to go do group activities. They didn't want to have an orgy, so they're doing the best thing that they can here.
I could have made that happen.
He could have made that happen.
I mean, the
I
day's
was
still
hoping
young.
he'd fail the hard roll to get them all to work together, and I'd walk in on a mob.
So, Dusk, you've been able to get away from Abraham and kind of find yourself out during the day, which is strange. It feels awkward. It feels too bright. You notice the people, and in a way, their uneventful lives, how they're almost like livestock, just moving about from one place to another. You know, the folks in the market are haggling for the very few customers that are around in the cold. The different guards are making their patrols, going up and down the castle walls and staring off into the blinding white and drifting snow. And all in all, it just seems kind of nice to you that people can not have to worry about strange whispers and dark sightings and the dangers that you have to. But you have some time, and what would you like to do after you've implanted your spy bot in Abraham's mind?
She will make her way back to her shack. Like you said, she finds it nice that people can have such normal lives, even in such harsh conditions. That is the apocalypse.
You-
So she kind of moves at a slower pace as she admires the people going about their business during the day. But she is heading towards her shack.
As you begin to head back, you come to the door that you normally go to, and you notice something that you hadn't noticed before, probably because you're leaving the door. Someone has gone through the process of nailing a mixture of dried garlic and some kind of like white lilies to the door, and they all make the symbol of some weird, it looks like a T. I mean, it's a sign of the cross. I'm not sure if Dusk would know what that is, but it's all kind of like nailed to this door.
Aren't there crosses in Lark's church?
I think so, yeah.
It's probably like a very rickety, slightly tilted one on the top.
Mm-hmm.
So she would probably associate it with Lark's religion, or whatever he practices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely seems strange. Like, why would you waste produce to do this? You kind of do you just ignore it and go inside, or you try to take it down?
I mean, it's not really much of a concern, so she'll probably just ignore it.
So as you make your way back inside, you notice that your door seems to be cracked open a bit.
I carefully take a peek inside.
As you begin to open the door a bit, you see a figure standing in the corner. They're facing into the corner.
Can I make out any details?
Smaller in stature, kind of skinny. Could be Shazah.
Can I see what they're wearing?
They're wearing, looks like some kind of bluish rain jacket, basic kind of leather-like pants, and you see what appears to be maybe an apron tied, like the strings of it hanging down back below. You look closer and you see that the hair on the back of their head is very tangled and messy. It does seem that it is Shazah.
Guess I'll use that new move you gave me.
Okay. Awesome. So you try to speak to him psychically. Go ahead and roll plus weird. Perfect. What message are you giving to him?
Just whispering the name Shazah.
Go ahead and take one puppet string over him. Do you have a command, or are you just talking to him?
I in quotes order him to turn around.
You see his head kind of turn, almost like he heard someone call to him to the door, and he turns around and he sees you standing there. For a moment, you don't see like the color in his eyes. It almost looks like his eyes are pure black. But it fades once he sees you, and he kind of stands there confused for a moment, kind of looks around. Dusk? Why? This is your room.
So he seems confused.
Very. Kind of checks himself, like looks down. You can see that there's some wet boot prints that lead in here. Kind of looks at those. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what I came to talk to you about. I need to get back to work. I'm sorry. And he begins to kind of walk towards the door and try to leave.
I let him go.
He like turns around. I'm really confused. I'll bring food tonight. Just kind of begins to walk out. As you enter the room again, you feel a presence still in there. It feels heavy, uncomfortable. You start to hear the whispers. Your power. It grows.
Dusk just grimaces and shakes her head.
You will take over. Do not lose your true self.
She just bursts out of the shack.
Like slam the door, and as you do, you feel that pressure kind of release from you. Kind of look around, and there's that sunlight kind of shining down the hallway, and it still seems unfamiliar, but for the first time in a long time, it almost feels welcoming. That you don't have to worry about hiding, because people aren't going to come here, but that thing that hides in your dark room, that's not out here.
So after she bursts out of the shack, yeah, she'll go find somewhere else to hide for a bit.
Okay. Let's see. Where would you go? You've been around the castle quite a bit, so you probably know of other places. What would be your secondary location?
Could we switch back to the castle map?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. Yeah, we haven't been looking at this for a while.
Okay. So her shack would be somewhere around this area.
Correct. Yep.
Are these towers frequently patrolled, or do they frequently have guards in them?
You know that the guards that walk along the wall will use them, but they don't patrol on top. They basically go up and down the wall. So the only time they would use them is when they're swapping out patrols. So you'd probably be familiar with those times, and during the middle of the day isn't normally when it happens. It's normally you have one patrol during the day and one patrol at night.
I guess she will go up the tower
Okay. As you
and just
are you going like out the top of the tower through the little hatch to get to the roof, or are you just going to like
yeah.
the upper floors of it? Okay. Yeah, as you open it, immediately you feel that wind kind of rushing past as you look up to the light gray sky above, just covered in clouds and the cold temperature. And even though you're kind of used to it, you get up there and you find yourself shivering for a bit just from the frigid cold temperatures up above the walls of the castle. But you welcome it for a moment, allowing yourself to feel something different that allows your mind to move away from where you were to focus on something else. But
she'll
mhm.
yep, she will walk up to the edge of the tower, overseeing the castle, and just stare down
Okay.
the little people, the little houses.
So Lark, you would know about the rumors. You know where Dusk would be. Where would you be heading to go find her?
Probably towards the storage shed, because even though he didn't go into the room, he knows that she is around there somewhere because he
Mhm.
followed her footprints previously, which is where he left the skull.
Okay.
So he probably goes there, but then sees some of Dusk's footprints, because she's the only one crazy enough to go around barefoot around here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably going like towards one of the towers, I imagine, as he's trying to look around the storage area.
So he would she would be able to access the tower kind of from inside the storage area. So the tower doors are what lead into this hallway to the storage. So she would have been able to exit her room. Following her footprints, you would have been able to track it kind of where Abraham was walking, back past your tents to the door that has that cross on it. So you would definitely see that as you're approaching.
Yeah, he would stop a little bit at that, because that's weird.
Mhm.
That's weird. This is the Hocus saying that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
He-
definitely strange. Are you wanting to investigate the cross or just taking note of it?
He'll investigate it briefly, because he's wondering if this has something to do with Dusk, which probably does,
Mhm.
because anything weird happening over here is probably her fault.
I'm the
But
only
I
one
mean,
that can outweird you.
you say that.
Yeah, but still, you have 3 weird. I have 2.
So I'm gonna say that this could be kind of a custom move to tap into your knowledge as a hocus and what you've experienced in the lowlands as you were traveling. So I'm gonna have you. Do you feel like you are reading this based off of your history, so what you've experienced, or based off of your hocusness, your strange touch into these things outside of the normal physical world?
I'd say he'd be reading it more as a Hocus, because even though like his mind was kind of on Dusk, like the cross is still like a religious symbol, and he would
Mhm.
recognize it as such. So that
Yeah,
would be
go
a
ahead
weird
and roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, I'll say you get, an idea and the answers are clear. On a 7 to 9, you get an idea, but it's just kind of that. And on a miss, we'll see what happens.
All right.
Let's hope we don't go there.
Let's see if this is a better roll. My 10% margin for failure.
Okay.
Nice.
So you you remember a city, not a city, but a small town that you had traveled to that experienced a bout of cursings, or that at least that's what they claimed it was, that people would be cursed. And you remember doors being marked as a ward against evil, You don't know necessarily, you don't remember crosses being used in that town. There it was more, they used actual lamb's blood to kind of mark the doors of those that were cursed to ward off evil. But yeah, you would probably recognize it as something like that, a ward across a barrier to protect against evil.
Lark kind of taking note of that becomes a little bit more nervous and starts looking for Dusk a little bit more frantically.
So you see her footprints lead inside the storage. You open that and you can see that there's no longer like her footprints in there, but you notice a set of like boot prints that lead to a certain room, kind of 2 or 3 doors down.
Lark will go there and with haste because he doesn't know who this is, and it's very concerning for Dusk's footprints, the transition, the footprints that aren't hers.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna head to that room, like fast walk his way down there.
So you get to one room and you go. Dusk, your room, is it locked or unlocked?
So
I imagine she wouldn't have a key to get back in.
True, unless she picks it with her dagger.
I mean, it's a possibility, but she stormed out, so it's most likely not locked.
So you get to this door and slowly kind of open it, and you see a fairly barren room. There's a small kind of cot. There's a variety of scraps of food. Would your dagger be in there, Dusk, or would you be carrying that with you?
She usually takes it with her.
Okay.
When she goes out.
What else would he see in your room as he kind of opens the door and allows some of the sunlight to enter?
It's really just pretty barren.
Mm-hmm.
She really doesn't have much on her. I mean, not even clothes, I think.
So Lark's fairly certain that this is probably belongs to Dusk. I think he's a little bit concerned that someone who might not be as friendly found it, because if it was one of his cult members, they would have reported it.
You do see the boot prints kind of track to the corner, and you see a puddle of liquid over in the far corner of the room, probably where the snow melted.
Yeah, he kind of walks over there a little bit, kind of observes the puddle. That would be a fairly clear indication someone just walked in, sat in the corner for a while, and walked out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
as
weird.
You begin to walk in, your sight kind of glances out the window, and you see the dark zone out there, and you just hear your name whispered, Lark, and seems to bounce around the room.
Lark kind of reaches into his vestments and holds his skull a little bit. Not exactly sure what's going on. He hasn't really, with the exception of his dreams, he hasn't had the entity contact him without him like opening his brain before. So these whispers are a little bit unsettling to him.
You hold it close, and you feel the whispers, and you kind of turn your head to see where it's coming from, and as you catch a glimpse of the dark zone once again, it seems to pulse, and just as it does, you feel a sharp prick in your hand, right where you're holding the skull. You pull your hand away. It looks like the fucking skull just bit you.
Lark's kind of like breathing a little heavy because okay, he was slightly unnerved before. He's a little freaked out now. I think he's gonna walk out of the room. I think this is like a bit like this is weird. He came here with a goal in mind, and like this is all wrong to him. So he just kind of like turns and like walks out of the room, like staring at that mark on his hand. As he gets out of the room, he like pulls the skull out and looks at it. The jaws shouldn't have a hinge or anything, so he's just wicked confused.
And you look down and you can see like when you pinch your finger in something, there's a bit of like raised skin. But you look over the skull and yeah, it's solid. It's obsidian. It doesn't move.
Lark kind of let's see. Can I roll to read a situation to see if I can figure out A, where Dusk is, or B, what the hell is going on?
Sure, absolutely. I would definitely say it's a charged situation.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So you have one question. And I would say we could replace enemy or anything like that with
Yeah, I was just about to ask that because the number one thing he wants to know where Dusk is because that's what he came here for, and he also views Dusk as like some sort of like a being of religious significance to him. So like, hey, maybe Dusk is the answer to this problem, and I can kill two birds with one stone. So he's going to try to look around to see if he can get some sort of clue as to where Dusk is.
So as you back out of the room real quick, you kind of look at your finger and you look down the hallway, down to the opposite side where you came in, and you see the door that leads outside, but you notice that there's light coming from the tower, and not just from outside, and that catches your attention a little bit. Dusk, as you were sitting up top, you probably would have seen Lark approach the door. Would you have just watched him come in, or would you be doing anything as he approached to get inside the storage before all of that?
She would probably. She'll wait to see if he gets out again.
Okay.
So she would still be at the top of the tower.
Okay. So you kind of hanging out there watching, and Emperor, you kind of brush the dirt off your chin, made sure everybody got back to order. What were you gonna head out to do? Check in on the caravan, make sure they were ready to head out ASAP.
See if your jaw's all right.
Do you need to go to the Medicaid and get a Band-Aid or maybe some of those pills? Emperor? He's in deep thought. Contemplation. Hello? Indeed?
Interesting.
Oh, I apologize about that. Yes, indeed, Emperor. It was after your fight. You advised the men. No worries, this happens. Let me just take a quick note. Let's see, we are around, what is this, 251. Editing note. 251.
It's a time for the
Editing.
tech issues.
It is. Dusk, get out of his computer. Or should I say the
Discord
entity?
rolled a 5 on weird.
Right. Yay for skull bites. That's fun.
Yeah, that was different.
Hello?
Hey,
All right, we got
can you
you
hear
now.
us?
Okay, yes, I can hear you guys now.
Okay, perfect. So,
Yeah.
as
Things were bugging out, so.
no worries, no worries. So yeah, as they're having their thing, I was checking back on the Emperor. You had finished your fight, told your men to get back to work. What were you heading out to do with next? Was it to check on the caravan?
Yeah, I'll go check on the caravan. My elbow injury can wait for now.
Okay.
Just about to ask.
As you get out into the courtyard, you can see that Old Man Peter, Fauna, his two mercenaries, a couple other helpers are in the process of covering up all of their bundles and boxes in the back of this fairly large wagon. It actually has 3 axles on it. There's there's 2 oxen that are attached to the front. Fairly big, bulky beasts that he has, the harness attached to. You can see them putting down a few extra bits of fur and coats and things that they normally have in the front, and definitely preparing for the cold, but making sure everything's buckled down and preparing for the plan.
Okay. And where you say Old Man Pete was? Exactly?
So he's in the process of like looking over some of the maps and the reports that he got from Fatima, just kind of planning their journey. So probably
Okay.
up on the bench seat, looking over some paperwork, he's got a big fur hood, maybe from a bear or something like that. That's kind of up over him, and then over the paperwork as he just kind of holds it down and he's tracing down a few paths. He's kind of a fat guy, so he takes up a lot of the bench. But you know that it's not just flabby fat, like it's just he's comfortable in his position, he has the money to spend, he eats well, and then the oxen, they're strong, so they can carry him along with the load.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll go up to him while he's preparing stuff. I'll wait for him to like see me first before I say anything.
After a moment, he turns to say something to Fauna and sees you're there, and with an agility a bit more than what you would expect from him, he places a paper down and like hops down with his single hand on the seat, pulls his hood down and comes over. Emperor, fucking cold day, isn't it?
It always is, Pete. It always is.
That it is. So,
You ready?
we should be. With this storm, I'm thinking it might take us an extra day or so to trudge through, but the bitches up front, they'll be able to get through just fine.
I trust your instinct on this matter, Pete. You know these roads more than I do.
Well, not the fucking northern trail, but it's a trail after all, so we'll get it done.
So I put my trust in you.
Of course. You had mentioned a few others you were sending with us. They gonna be here? I'd love to set out probably first light tomorrow. Make sure we get everything ready and head out right away early in the morning. Hopefully the storm
Yes.
can set a bit.
Yes, Snapper's gonna look around first and see if he can find Lark.
So you take a moment to look, and you don't see Lark, but you see Abraham. He's walking around kind of towards the market. It seems like he might be looking for Lark as well. He's got a bag over one shoulder, and he's holding another bag in his hand, and he's kind of just walking a bit lost.
Mm-hmm. The Emperor looks back to Olymp. He's like, they should be here shortly. Give me 1 second. And the Emperor is going to go up to Abraham.
Abraham like stops and sees you. Emperor like puts his head down a little bit. What can I do for you?
At ease, man. Do you know where Lark is?
To be honest, I'm looking for him myself. He was gonna go find you.
He was going to find me. Well, I talked to him not long ago, but he left to go do something.
Just out of curiosity, how obvious is the elbow scar out of your
Not
eye.
much. I'm gonna say like there's probably like based on like just the amount of harm I got, like there's probably is like some amount of bleeding here, but not like too much. Like I got into a scuffle, that's obvious,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get badly hurt either.
All right, I'm just curious because like my cult members would recognize signs like that.
Injuries, yeah.
Mhm.
Abraham seems to be a bit timid due to recent circumstances, but yeah, he definitely kind of looks up, notices, and then looks back down, not to meet your eye contact. uh, shit. I don't know. I guess he said we needed to be ready at a moment's notice, so I don't know, to be honest. He hasn't been over at the tents or the church for a bit. He told me to get the bags. I got the bags ready. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna look at his body language, and I want to figure out some things about Abraham, whether
Okay.
he's telling the truth or not. For example,
Okay, go ahead. Read a person.
uh, okay, okay, the obvious one is this character telling the truth?
In regards to which point?
In regards to the fact he does not know where Lark is.
He is. Yeah, he last he heard Lark was going to meet you. The fact that you're here and he's not here, he's a bit confused. Yeah, he doesn't know where Lark is at the moment.
The Emperor sighs a bit, closes his eyes for a second, reopens them. Clearly, something is afoot, and he doesn't like it when things deviate from the plan.
Oh, I kind of notices your frustration. I have no doubt he's just grabbing a couple other supplies. Maybe Mother Nature had to call and he needed to go relieve himself for a moment. I have no doubt he'll be here in just a couple seconds. No problem at all.
Uh-huh. While you think that, I'm gonna go check the church. You stay here, don't move.
Okay.
And the Emperor's gonna set off for the church.
Okay. So as you head over there, Lark, you get into the bottom part of the tower, and you notice the temperature change. There's definitely a cold, frigid wind that's blowing down below. You look up, the stairs are kind of round about, and there's a hatch at the very top that's open, just shining light down from the gray sky above. A bit of snow is starting to fall down through the top hatch as well, kind of filtering down in that single beam of light, kind of dust through a sunshade.
So Lark kind of makes his way over to the hatch and kind of looks up, probably sees all the howling winds and the blowing snow, and pulls this like coat like a little bit like tighter and heads up.
Yeah, you as you kind of head up there, Dusk, you hear someone coming out of the hatch. You probably look over and see the head of Lark, but you might be back away from him. But you definitely notice him exiting, coming out onto the roof with you.
She just waits for him to fully climb into the rooftop.
So at first you kind of crawl up and you're facing out kind of over the side. This is the side that kind of goes down the cliff, and you just see white spinning snow everywhere, and you turn around to kind of get your full stance in the middle of the tower, and you see her just kind of perched there staring at you. This small teenage girl wearing a white nightgown, swirling snow around her, causing her clothes to kind of drift eerily back and forth in the wind.
And if he notices, if he looks closer, snowflakes seem to like land on her momentarily, or at least they land on her clothes the most, but on her skin, they just drift away. She basically has no no snow on her face or hair.
So Lark kind of looks at her and says, "Bit chilly for an afternoon stroll, though it doesn't seem to bother you. How do you do that? You've been walking around for has to be weeks barefoot. If any normal human being did that, they would have lost at least a few toes by now. You are aware that isn't normal, correct?"
She'll just continue to stare. But can I try to how do I put it? Figure out that Lark was in the shack.
Yeah, let's read a person. As he begins to ask you questions, you try to figure out, why is he up here? Literally, why is he up here? Like, how did he find me? Okay. So yeah, you can choose one of those questions to ask him.
What are the questions again?
So is your character telling the truth? What is your character really feeling? What does your character intend to do? What does your character wish I do? Or how could I get your character to... And then you fill in the blank.
They're under basic moves in the handouts.
Oh yeah. How could you get your character to? No, I think I'll go with what's your character really feeling.
At this very moment, a little bit relieved, but there's definitely something slightly off with Lark. He just experienced something that kind of put him off a little bit, and he's probably holding the finger that was bit, and yeah, so it's not like the I'm trying to keep my hands warm type thing. It's like this part of me hurts type of holding.
So then out of nowhere, there's a whisper. I assume that for a casual conversation, I don't need to actually roll the brain whisper.
Okay.
Okay.
And Lark has a good connection to the maelstrom and everything. So
it's something that I roll if I want to communicate this way, in a charge situation or over long distances.
So the way I see with the brain whisper is you at least need to know the contact that you go for. For NPCs, I think the role would be as is. I think for player character, it would be up to that character whether they think they'd be... For Lark specifically, because he is in touch with his weird, if it's just a simple conversation, I think it would be more of a question of, if you hear my voice, would you react adversely to it? If so, I'd have you do the roll. Or they can just accept it. If you want to implant an order or possibly cause some harm, then we would roll as well. So it'd be up to that character or that player to decide, okay, do I think my character would be concerned about hearing a random voice in my head and possibly bad things would happen because of that? Then you make the roll. Or do I think I would accept it and understand what it is in case you would just have the conversation? It would just be through your minds instead of your tongues.
Yeah, and I don't think the voice thing would bother Lark, especially if he believed it was Dusk's.
Yeah.
That probably bothers him a lot less than the random disembodied whispers that he was being bombarded with down in her room.
I assume the harm is almost akin to losing your sanity.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is that you start going mad talking about the voices in your head. Like, you have a psychotic episode.
Okay.
All right, so what does Lark hear Dusk say?
So there's a feminine voice that surges up in your mind. basically what it says. Um, you heard them too.
Lark kind of just stops at that, and not. It's more what she said than how she said it that gets him, and he just kind of like says out loud, "Heard them? You? How do you know that? Were you watching me?"
The voices. They are in my room.
So you heard them as well. That's quite concerning. Have you had such a thing happen to you before? Is that where you've been staying this whole time?
It's been happening almost every night past few days.
There were boot prints, and was someone else in there? They didn't hurt you, did they?
It's a friend.
So you do have friends.
Is that what you call the entity?
Friend, I suppose, is not the right word for it, but
Meant
I
the
do
voices.
consider it my ally. The voices, I don't know if they come directly for the entity, or perhaps there's been an adversary hiding all this time, but did you dream about me? Lark says, referring to the shared dream that they had at the beginning of the session.
Yes.
Incredible. Incredible. So you are connected. Maybe not in the same way that I am, but you are connected. Dusk, that makes you very important to me.
The voices. They've taken control of me before.
Taking control? What do you mean?
I can't remember very well, but there was much blood. Much bloodshed.
I see. And you believe bloodshed has something to do with these voices taking over?
Yes. No. I don't know.
Lark kind of looks around, like starts to like rub his shoulders a little bit, because he is, despite the fact he's technically the weirder of the two, he's more susceptible to the cold.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely, you haven't put on your thick travel jacket yet.
And Lark just kind of like shivering a little bit, and you, my God, how can you stand it up here? Do you need anything? Should I be offering you any supplies, clothes? She says, kind of like gesturing towards her nightgown. Truly, Dusk, I wish to help you.
This is
Whatever
just
you
who I
need.
am.
This,
This cold is nothing.
I've come across many strange people on my travels, and yet you stand out as so much different than everyone else here. I can't quite place a finger on it, but you're very important, Dusk. I honestly can't stress that enough. Uh, my followers, is there anything that
Why?
you... Why are you important?
Why?
You are... And Lark's kind of trying to think of how he's going to phrase this, because he doesn't just want to be, well, the entity said you were important. Because that's not gonna... He knows that's not gonna do it. Like, so he just kind of like stops and thinks for a moment. This whole place, Dusk, is approaching a crossroads. And it is very difficult to tell which path is the correct path. I believe you are the key to answering that question. You are the key to ensuring my followers, and the castle stay on the correct path.
I am not a key. I am a monster.
One group's hero is another's monster. I guarantee my followers have been called monsters and plenty worse things, but Dusk, that is what I strive to do. I strive to take those that are traveling down a dark path and showing them that there's a better way. Same hand to you, and I realize that you view the world through a much different lens than the rest of us, but I assure you, I want nothing but to help you. What's the worst that can happen, honestly?
Dusk lowers her head. She appears to be thinking about it.
You don't have to. You truly don't. I'm willing to offer you anything and everything I have.
And what for?
Simply for continued support.
Why do you think I would help you? How do you think I would help you?
Dusk, I have sought answers my entire life, and many of them simply bring more questions. I can tell you have likely several important questions you want answered. I can help you answer those questions, and you can help me answer some of my own. But without some degree of cooperation, neither of us will get any answers, and we'll simply continue searching for a meaning in this existence. Dusk, to tell you the truth, I'm quite afraid. The followers that you see with me I had many more in the past, but I can't seem to lead them right down the right path, no matter what I try. I truly believe you are the answer to that question, and I might not get another opportunity to answer it again. So please, Lark extends one hand out. The very least, hear me out. And I'm going to roll the manipulate.
Alrighty. Dusk, do you feel like you would at all try to interfere with his manipulation, or would you just be unsuspecting of it?
Actually, I don't even think a roll is needed.
Okay.
So you're extending your hand, right?
Yeah, Lark is holding, like, because that's what people do. He's not sure if that's what Dusks do. Like, is there a mental handshake? Like,
Secret handshake.
It's a brain high five. Just thwack.
as Lark goes flying off the tower.
No.
You know Skype?
Oh yes, yes I do.
Is Dusk secretly the Dragonborn?
Bruce,
I mean,
go
he
fuck
got-
yourself, Lark.
He got to throw that before.
Hey, not wrong.
Yeah, so Dusk slowly and carefully also extends her hand over Lark's.
And I imagine Lark knows that she's abnormally warm.
Her hand, yeah.
He kind of like he gives like a firm handshake, but at the same time he's like, "Oh, this feels really good. It's
Like
cold up here."
It's strange because it reminds you of the warmth of the blacksmith's hand. Like it's that warm.
Yeah. And he just kind of like looks at Dusk and I plan to be gone for a few days. I'm going to help essentially be a messenger to this group the Emperor wishes to go to war with. Dusk, what do you think I should do? Should I stick with the Emperor's plan? Because according to him, and frankly I agree with him, after the death of Windjammer, something has to be done. Otherwise, someone else's blood will need to be spilled. But I don't know anything about this group, nor do I know whether or not they deserve such a fate. I believe I could potentially redirect the Emperor's wrath, the castle's wrath, somewhere else, but it has to go somewhere. What do you believe I should do?
Me? I don't know. I'd rather have no bloodshed.
Well, if you think of anything, kind of like points to his own head. You know where to find me. Probably like hits like the bruise that the Emperor gave him a little bit. It's just like, ow, ow, okay, that was less cool than I thought it would be. And he just kind of like nods to Dusk, like a slow, like, you understand me nod?
Okay, wait, I think Discord is cutting out.
Lark kind of like nods towards Dusk, like in a kind of a "do you understand me" gesture. Or does this where, or is this where Lark gets puppet stringed?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Yep.
Okay. My Discord was bugging out, I think.
Also technical difficulties today.
Yeah, it happens.
They held off long enough.
Mm-hmm.
They were
Discord
coming
server
eventually.
sometimes bugs out for some reason. And Lark, mid-sentence, what were you saying?
But Lark is kind of like nodding his head and like he pointed to his head like, you know where to find me, and then he kind of like nods like, you get what I'm saying, right?
Okay. Dusk was going to say, the one you call Abraham. He will be my eyes, and he will be your shield.
Abraham. I'm trying to think. Would Lark be able to make a roll, see if he can make a connection between like what she's saying and what he's like seen? Because he saw what happened to Drag. That was strange. I don't know if it would be too much of a stretch yet. If connecting the pieces would be a little bit too difficult, but
So I guess, if anything, this would probably be an open your mind roll to get an idea of like how. Are you trying to see how she's able to, like, what she would see, or what Abraham has seen? I guess what are you trying to grasp?
I'm seeing if he can like get an idea of like Dusk's abilities to manipulate people, because despite the fact that the Emperor and Lark had both had some deep interactions with Dusk, they still don't realize that's been her. Like the Emperor probably has an idea, but him being the skeptic of the group,
I'd absolutely see this as an open your brain to the World Psychic Maelstrom roll on. I mean, you're trying to get an understand of how a brainer works. I think the Maelstrom's the only one that can answer that question.
All right. Will he get any help from Dusk?
She's pretty neutral about it.
Yeah, I figured. All right. Opening the brain. Nice.
So for a moment, you don't go into a full, like, you're not praying. So this is kind of different. You have or have had physical contact with her, being able to grasp her hand, and you stare at her for a long time, and you find yourself staring past her, almost having a vision as if a mirage that kind of starts to appear in the swirling snow back behind her. And you see you see a it looks like a farm of sorts. It's like a barn with a variety of furry creatures, sheep. Maybe you might know what they are or not. And
Lark's been around. If a place around here has sheep, he'd know what they are.
You see this person in the process of talking to one of the dogs and giving it an order. And if the dog goes and chases the sheep and comes back, it's given a treat. It's giving some kind of gift. But for what that one dog that doesn't listen, that goes off and starts sniffing the flowers, it's beat, it's whipped, it's shamed. And you feel it's trying to show you, like, if those she interacts with follow her orders, things go well for them. If those that she contacts don't follow her orders, it doesn't.
Lark kind of like he shivers a little bit, but it's not like the I'm cold shiver, and I imagine Dusk probably like sees him like react in some way.
She just stares back.
And Lark just kind of stares at Dusk for a moment. You're even more powerful than I realized. You know that, right?
I told you, I'm a monster.
Call yourself what you will, but someone with power can be a hero just as easily as they can be a monster. Remember that. No matter how dark things get, light always shines brightest in the dark, Dusk. And with that, Lark kind of makes his way back down the ladder.
So after he leaves, the door's right there. So yeah, Emperor, what were you doing after leaving
Went to
Abraham?
the church
You're
and
going
tried
to the
to look for
church,
Lark.
right? Yeah, as you kind of get closer, you see one of his followers, a woman. She's missing her right hand. Is standing there with a notepad, kind of looking over things, and she looks up to you and kind of nods. Opens the door to allow you to kind of come inside, where it's a little bit warmer than outside. Emperor, please come in. Is there anything I can help you with?
Hello, yes. Have you seen Lark recently? As in, like, in the last 5 or so minutes?
I'm afraid I haven't. I'm sorry. No, he was last I saw him, he was going to speak with Abraham, but that was a while ago.
Hmm. Okay, he's supposed to be heading out soon, but he isn't at the caravan right now. Any idea where he could have gone?
If he's not with Abraham, I'm not sure. He might be getting some supplies. It's possible he might have to use might be again Mother Nature might be calling. But if he's supposed to be there, I have no doubt he'll be there soon. Actually, she kind of looks past the church into the marketplace. I think that might be him there.
Yeah, and Lark's probably heading out into the courtyard, looking around. His target is obviously Abraham, because that's like wants to find Abraham and then leave, because that's now his current goal. But he sees the Emperor and Larissa, and the thought kind of passes through his head, oh, this is either really good or really bad. Let's find out. I did just punch him in the face.
True. And Dusk, after your interaction with Lark, do you find yourself just kind of sitting there pondering, or is there anything else that you do?
She stays for a bit.
Yeah, just kind of watch over the ants down below. Yeah, so Emperor, you see Lark kind of approaching you as she kind of goes past your shoulder. Oh yeah, I think that's him.
Perfect. So the Emperor starts heading towards Lark.
Emperor, how'd the rest of the training session go?
Went well. You are supposed to be somewhere.
Yes, I apologize. I got caught up in a conversation with our friend.
Ah. Okay.
I wanted to make sure she was all right before I left. Thought, as your sort of minister to these such things, it would be appropriate to ensure that was in order before my departure.
Understandable. Make your way to the caravan. This is the first of many, many events to come. Gather as much information as you can. Talk to people. You know
Mark actually, like, he continues walking to right by the Emperor, and he kind of leans in so he can kind of like whisper, and he's just like, she says that there's a monster inside of her, and though I believe she can still be the source of great good for both of us, she can also be dangerous. So, and by the way, Drag, you wouldn't happen to associate him with the Winter's Wraith at all, would you?
I reach certain conclusions about Drag.
Lark kind of like, as conversation is happening, like turns to Larissa and does like a little like dismissive like, like, go away for a second.
I believe I've talked enough about Drag the last time all three of us were together.
Yes, and well, I think I just made a discovery, and you wanted to know these things as I did, so.
If you're implying somehow that she caused it, I would recommend you do not spread those rumors around.
Oh no, of course, this is information I'm bringing directly to you. But just so you're aware, between her ability to harm me, despite my abnormal pain tolerance and her apparent ability to entice others into following her orders. I'm just worried that you might have your hands full while I'm away. And Lark is
Oh.
totally being like, you might miss me.
The Emperor kind of smirks a bit. He's like, "Oh, trust me. I'll have my hands full whether or not you leave right now. I still haven't gotten word back from the Night Sentinel, so I'm going to have to deal with that soon. More politics to deal with. But don't worry. Things probably won't blow up around here, or at least I'll try to make sure there's still a castle when we come back."
Yeah, hey, Wade. I don't think even you are capable of such a incredible feat in such a short amount of time. This
No, but maybe the Winter's Wraith is.
Lark kind of like gets a little serious like that because he's now understanding exactly how dangerous Dusk is. And though he still wants, he still has his own selfish reasons for wanting to be your friend, essentially. He is very much like, she's scary powerful. She is scary.
I don't doubt it. I don't really understand much about these things, as I'm sure I've said many, many times. I don't want to believe these things, but I almost have to now. Which is why we need to know more about what lies up north. Whether they're a threat or not, that needs to be determined. That's why you need to leave. Now.
Yes, just one small matter before I depart. There's a particular member of my group I would like you to recruit into your fighting forces. Consider it a trial run, just for us to ensure that this will go smoothly. His name is Ram.
All right.
And if he doesn't believe that this order came from me, just tell him to make sure he shares his potatoes. He'll understand what I mean.
Understood. I'll have him participate in the group exercises.
And I apologize in advance for any difficulties. He's a bit hot-headed and...
The Emperor laughs and says that he'll fit right in. You can trust me on that.
That's what I was thinking, but...
I know it's going to be a good day if they start fighting.
That shouldn't be a problem then.
All right. In that case, you have a job to do. I need to go talk to the legate. Good luck, Lark. Have a safe journey, as safe as it could, as safe as it can be.
Thank you. May the entity be with you, Emperor. And Lark turns and begins heading towards the caravan.
The Emperor just kind of nods, kind of almost shrugging off this, the mention of the entity. Still unsure about whether or not the thing he saw was the entity or not. Thing that, quite frankly, disheveled him. And, he's going to go talk to the legate to see whether there's any word back from Portal.
So as you begin to approach the caravan, Abraham runs up to you and joins you, Lark. You both head over to the caravan, and the large, fat old man Peter kind of hops down. So you must be the two that are joining us on this trip. Go ahead and strap your bags to the side. We'll be heading out in the morning. Hopefully the storm will cut out before then. If not, I hope you boys got something thicker than that shit you're wearing, because it's going to be fucking cold.
Lark just kind of nods to the two bags that Abraham is still carrying, both bags.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of nods. We brought more in case it was necessary, and thank the entity for that. But where are my manners? I am Lark. and this is Abraham, one of my followers. You are Peter, if my memory serves?
The one and only.
Ah, pleased to meet you. And
Place.
Lark,
And that there's Fauna, and the rest of the shitheads you don't have to worry about right now.
Lark just kind of nods at that. Kind of like looking at the oxen and everything. And he's just kind of, you seem to have done well for yourself. This is an impressive caravan.
I've been working hard for it, and yeah, I could say I've got a good life. Look forward to it continuing. So, if you're gonna be
Good
on my
life is-
caravan, just
Good
know.
life is all we can ask for.
Indeed. But if I tell you to do anything, you listen. My boys tell you guys to do anything, you listen. Got it?
I understand. I am here to handle the political side of the situation.
Right. You can be all diplomatic and shit. I'm just here to make sure that this stuff, and he slaps the back of the caravan, gets from here to there. What you do once you get there, that's your own business. We'll make sure you get there safe.
And hopefully it will be as straightforward as it seems. Lark says, a little bit like nervous and yeah. What can go wrong? Hard look towards the camera.
Well, you boys, like I said, leave your stuff here. You got some time. Go get a good meal, get something warm. If you got any extra furs or anything laying about, make sure to bring it, and we'll head out.
Lark kind of he like turns like he's about to go, then he turns back to Peter because a important question just popped into his mind. Have there been animal attacks recently? Something large, something that could tear a man to pieces.
Well, there's wolf attacks on the Southern Trail all the time, but none. We are going to be the first ones traveling outside those north gates in a very long time, so I have no idea. I know that there are definitely many animal attacks up there, but we don't really know exactly what we're getting into.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. As Lark turns and leaves, like in his head, he's just like, if I'm being pursued by a pack of bears, I'm stabbing the fat guy in the leg and running.
Yeah. You have a moment to look, and there's definitely, as far as armaments, they seem to have a few composite bows on the back, and there might you see some kind of covering that it might be a shotgun that's resting on the bench, kind of hanging across the back, some kind of weapon. But yeah, the rest of the folks are just in the process of loading everything, and Emperor, as you're going about, you find out that there's a minor accident, no big deal. But the legate's currently with the Medicaid, just dealing with a minor injury. So you begin to make your way down there. It might as well. You got this little bruise, might as well get it looked at. As you kind of walk down into his little building, kind of at the edge of your castle. Walk down the stairs and you see the legate sitting there, and he's currently got a bandage that's being wrapped around his arm, and you hear him talking as your shadow kind of cast across the little table that he kind of puts bodies on and all that kind of stuff. They both turn to look at you, and as they do, you notice both of their eyes are pure black, and they just smile. And that's where we're going to end tonight. So when we return next week, then, we'll have the Emperor deal with whatever he's got to deal with, and then we'll set out for the caravan to head on its way. So, we'll go ahead and wrap up the video here then. Thank you for anybody out there that happens to be watching. And all things well, we will be back next week. So thanks everybody for playing. Thanks everybody for watching. And we will see you next time. Take care.